Good morning, everyone. Just let me know if you can hear me and then we'll begin. It's just after 10 o'clock my time, so I will assume that you can hear everything, but if not, you let me know. So, as you know, this is Helps YouTube Live. You can hear me. Thank you so much. Helps YouTube, and hi to you, Joyce. YouTube Live. I'm Kristen Olsen, an attorney with Helps, and I'm substituting in for Eric. Same last name, but we're not related. It's just a coincidence. And as you may know, Eric's been traveling to his new location, and he has made it as of today. So he's there, and he tells me he has no modem. So he's going to be working on that, and he will be up and running starting Monday. So we can all look forward to that. But I'm glad to be with you this last time. And I thought we could talk about a few things that have seemed to come up, especially recently for me. I talk to a lot of people that call in for the first time, and a number of them recently have been with debt management companies. And I don't know if many of you are familiar with those, but I can tell you that everyone that I've spoken with recently that has been involved with that has made payments to them that they cannot afford. And no one tells them that their income is protected. If you are on Social Security benefits or any other type of federal benefit like USPS from the post office or railroad retirement or any federal benefit, those benefits are automatically protected. And people don't realize that, so they might sign up with a debt management company paying sometimes just huge percentage of their income, and eventually those that I speak to have found us and they see that there's another alternative. And so we help a lot of people that first were in some sort of debt management program. Another thing that I see is people with lawsuits. It gets to be at a point where they've been sued and they're very concerned about that. So they seem to find us. And for instance, I spoke with a lovely lady earlier this week, and that was her situation. She didn't know anything about Helps, but she heard about us and called, and she had this lawsuit she was very worried about. I told her how we handle that. We send a letter to the other attorney, the attorney for the plaintiff that sued them, and we let that attorney know that this is our client and she has income protected from any garnishment. She doesn't have assets over and above exemptions. And even if they go forward and get a judgment against her, it's going to be uncollectible. So then the attorney would be obligated to go to his or her client and inform them of that. And sometimes, not often enough, but sometimes they will dismiss the case based on that information. Or they might want proof of income, which we always ask our clients to provide us. For instance, your Social Security benefits letter, that works really well. And so then we provide that to the attorney, and ultimately they may dismiss the case. Even if they go forward and get a judgment, our client is protected. And in this particular case, it would be a little bit difficult for her to get the documentation to us. And so I just took it over the phone and prepared the letter, and it went out the same day. We send it by fax generally, and so it's taken care of, and she was able to be assured and relieved. So that makes me feel good too. So the reasons that most people end up calling us, or when they call us, they express to me that they are worried, stressed out, and maybe sick, or all three of those. And that's my biggest concern, because who wants to live like that? And I don't want our clients to live like that. So I talk to them. We go through intake, which if you've heard Eric previously, he's spoken about that. What we're looking for is basic information when someone calls in. Excuse me. I got to turn off my heater so it's not so dry in here. So what we want to know is what vulnerability could there be if they are sued? Is their income protected? Do they have assets they're worried about? We go through all that and we discuss with them. And by and large, people are worried about their income. And if they are on some sort of federal benefit, which that's what our client base is, they're on federal benefits. They might have other income as well, but they're certainly on some sort of federal benefit, typically Social Security. Excuse me. Sorry about that. And assuming they're a client, they would be on Social Security or another federal benefit, and we let them know that that income is protected. And if it is deposited into one checking account, that one checking account is going to be automatically protected from garnishment up to 2 times the amount of the federal benefit, regardless of what funds are in the account. So even if they are working part-time, in an easy example, where they have Social Security benefits of, let's say, $200 or $2,000 a month, and their wages are $1,000 a month, 2 times their Social Security or federal benefit, which we said was $2,000 in our example. So 2 times that amount, or $4,000, would automatically be protected from garnishment in that one account where Social Security is directly deposited. So that means even though they have $1,000 of wages, most of our clients are using their money as they receive it. And so even if all that came into their account at the same moment, they would have $3,000 in the account. And as we've said, $4,000 would have been protected. So even if they were sued and had a judgment against them and a creditor attempted to garnish their bank account, that account would always be automatically protected if they kept it at or below 2 times their monthly Social Security deposit. And that's why we talk to our clients about having just one bank checking account. And they could be with a credit union, or we've talked about online banks, but if you want to have a brick and mortar bank, then you can do that. And if you just have the one checking account, that one's going to be automatically protected from garnishment. So that saves our clients a whole lot of worry when they understand that. And Eric has written a lot of articles. In addition to all the YouTube videos that you've seen, he's written many, many articles. And one of the ones that I send out the very most would be the one he calls Bank Accounts Protected from Garnishment. And it goes, it speaks exactly in more detail, but exactly what I just told you. And so if anyone's ever interested in receiving that, we can always send that to you. It's just a click away if you have email. And there's also something that talks about when a helps client is sued, and do I have to go to court, and all that. And you don't have to go to court. If you're one of our clients, or even if you're not, we tell you that if you read the summons carefully, it will say somewhere on there, if you don't answer or don't respond or don't show up, one of those things, the penalty is that there will be a default judgment against you. But if you owe the money, there's going to be a judgment against you regardless. So most of the time our clients have protected their bank account by just having the one account where their federal benefits are directly deposited, and then any other income goes in that. They don't have a second account. And if they're employed, we've talked to them about what their state protects as far as take-home pay, and the minimum that would be protected take-home is $217.50 a week, which turns out to be about $940 some. And that's the minimum that is going to be automatically protected from garnishment. So Many states are a lot higher than that and would protect a lot more. And so then the issue is, what do you do with that money? So it can't be garnished at your employer, but you need to make sure that it goes into the same account with your Social Security benefits, and that account never has more than 2 times your monthly Social Security deposit. So even if people are making the same amount of money as in wages as they are in their federal benefits, they can still protect that. And if you see that you're going to have a little more than that in there, you can always take it out. But once again, it's not an issue unless and until you have been sued and there's a judgment against you. So I just wanted to be clear about that. And let me see here if we've got some questions. If you have questions, if you could put some cues at the front or just some indication that you have a question, then I'll pick it up more easily. And yes, hi to everyone in the chat. Don't look like Eric. Well, that's a good thing, and it's a good thing he doesn't look like me. Okay, question. When a grandparent is on Social Security and didn't co-sign on a loan, but did make a few car payments on his car, the account is from her checking account. He stops paying. Can they take her money? No. If you're not a co-signer on a debt, just because you've been benevolent and made payments for your grandson does not mean that you are on the hook for those payments. So no, you don't have to worry about that. The only thing that would happen if he's not making payments for a vehicle, assuming the lender has the title to it, they would pick up the vehicle. So if they picked up the vehicle, then they sell it, and whatever they get for it, they deduct from the amount that the person owed, and the balance is a deficiency. They would be sending your grandson a deficiency notice and asking him to pay it. But unless he's on some sort of disability or Social Security disability or something like that, they would be able to collect from him if he had income. So if he's on some sort of federal benefit like most of our clients are, then perhaps it's not going to be collectible. Okay. Let's see. When a tenant breaks a lease and moves out and was on Social Security, can the apartment take the money out from the checking for the rest of the lease that was owed? Checking. Okay, so if, first off, once again, anyone that attempts to garnish your account would have to have a judgment first. So we're assuming that they've sued you and have a judgment against you. And if that's the case, they can attempt to collect on that, and one of the ways is by a garnishment. But if you've protected your account, that's not going to be an issue. Okay. Question. I'm a client. I have a part-time job that offers 401k and stock options. How is this income treated once I receive the benefit? Well, 401k, those benefits are protected. So I'm assuming you have a part-time job. So I'm assuming that you're collecting on those benefits. But if you're not, once you are, the 401k benefits would be protected. You could call us about that and we can explain. If you're talking about, and maybe this is outside the scope of your question, but it just brought something to mind. If you're talking about, and you were not particularly, but let's explore this. If a creditor sued you and had a judgment against you, and they were attempting to collect by virtue of your part-time employment. So they were going to your employer with a writ of garnishment. When we say a person can take home whatever their state allows in a minimum amount each week before there can be a garnishment, the minimum in any state is going to be $217.50, and could be a whole lot more than that. But that $217.50 take home is with just taxes deducted. So if you're having 401k deducted, if you were to be sued now and you're having 401k benefits deducted, those would not be deducted from your net pay. Maybe I'm getting in the weeds there and getting too confusing, but if you've got a question about that, let me know. I'm really confused about garnishment limits. Amy has really tried to help me. North Carolina resident. If 2 times Social Security is protected, can North Carolina still garnish me up to $217 per week, or does federal? Okay, so if you are on Social Security or any other federal benefit, they cannot take that federal benefit, okay? Whatever is in your account is going to be automatically protected up to 2 times the amount of your federal benefit. Now, if you are employed, they can attempt to garnish at the source. So they can file a writ of garnishment with your employer if you are taking home more than $217.50 a week, if that's what North Carolina provides. I could look it up, but I'm not looking it up right now. So law override North Carolina. I'm confused and worried. I can't work for it. Oh, I'm so sorry you're confused and worried. That's my biggest worry, that clients are worried. Okay, so we'll use the example again. You're getting $2,000 a month in Social Security benefits, $4,000, and it's directly deposited into a checking account. That account is always going to be automatically protected from garnishment in the bank account, up to 2 times the amount, $4,000, whatever money is in there, even if it's not all Social Security. That is separate and apart from a wage garnishment that goes to your employer. Where you have a wage garnishment, that's where whatever your state allows to protect, and if you say North Carolina is $217.50, then I'm going to go with that. Whatever it is, then that amount is the amount that's going to be automatically protected from garnishment. But once again, they would have to sue you, get a judgment against you, find out where you're working, and then submit a writ of garnishment and hope that you're making more than that. So, and you can't work forever. You don't have to. But call me if that's an issue, if I'm not explaining that well enough. Please, JBIR, call me. I'm a client. I have a checking account in my name where my Social Security goes, but I have a POD to my brother. That's payable on death, but he doesn't sign on the account. Will this affect my brother if it's garnished? No. No, it's your account, your money, and he doesn't put money in the account, so it wouldn't affect him in any way. It's just that when you pass away, assuming your brother is still alive, if you predecease him, any money in the account would go to your brother, payable on death. But it wouldn't affect him. He doesn't put any money in the account, presumably. If that doesn't explain that, Michelle, you ask me again. But I think that answers your question. Looks like everybody's getting ready for a big Easter dinner. Okay, all right, so now my husband will be leaving the federal government the end of May. Is his FERS account exempt? Once again, it's federal benefits, okay? He's got federal benefits, and so his account is going to be protected. Now, if you have a state, like for instance, state employees have a state retirement plan, and that is protected, just not automatically like the FERS would be. So yeah, he's going to be in good shape. I want to open a 360 checking account. Do I have to go to Social Security to change my direct deposit? If you want to change your direct deposit from one account to another, you have to contact Social Security, but you can call them up, you can do it online, or you can stop in. It's my understanding when people stop in and do it in person, it may be that it takes effect more quickly, if that's a goal or if that's important to you. Okay, Michelle. Okay, that answered it. Great. Oh, you're very welcome. But JBIR, I'm concerned that maybe you're still confused, and if so, I'd be glad to send you that article that Eric wrote on bank accounts protected from garnishment that does not address wage garnishments, but give me a call and we can talk about that. So, okay, so let's see here. Yeah, the biggest concern people seem to have is protecting their bank account, protecting their funds, because otherwise they can't pay their bills, they can't pay their rent or their mortgage or their car payment or their utilities or their food, all these things. So that's why federal benefits are automatically protected in your account up to 2 times the amount of the monthly deposit. And that's how you can protect other funds, by bootstrapping them in the same account as your federal funds, and then you don't have to worry about that. So that is really clients' biggest worry, is protecting their bank account and their income, and I understand that. And like I say, we have an article that we can send you about protecting your bank account. That is a little different than protecting your payroll, but we've talked about that. If you have more questions, let me know. So a couple other things, let's see, that I have seen recently, and it seems to be a question for people sometimes. Maybe you are buying a vehicle. I mean, oftentimes people don't call us for this reason. They call us because they're being sued, or because they have just simply a lot of credit card debt they cannot afford to pay. They may be also buying a vehicle that they really can't afford. They don't understand that we can help them with that as well. So let me talk a little bit about that. More often people call in because they have an RV that they can't afford. But it's the same principle as with a vehicle. Someone has title to that RV or that vehicle. And if you don't make the payments on it, the lender is going to ultimately repossess it. And somehow people don't understand when they call in, if they've got a vehicle payment that they can't afford and maybe they're way upside down in it, they think they're stuck and they've got to continue to pay that, which they do not. If they decide that they can't afford it and then they want to surrender that, as long as it's insured, they can keep driving it, and then when the lender picks it up, they can take the insurance off. They're no longer driving it, so that's that. The lender will then sell the vehicle, and they have an auction is how they sell it. And then they send you a letter letting you know the deficiency, the difference between what you owed and what they got for the vehicle, and they ask you to pay it. But that's the same type of debt as any other unsecured loan or credit card. They can't do anything more to you than a credit card collector can do. So even if they sue you and get a judgment against you, it's a matter of attempting to collect on that judgment. And really, if you've protected your bank account, you're going to be fine. And if you have wages or other income and you put it in that same account, your account will be protected. And we've talked about the wages. So if you have questions, let me know about that. So let's see. I want you to talk about Section 8. Section 8 housing is designed for people that simply cannot afford the cost of a rental. And unfortunately, the list is very lengthy. There are things you can do, and I think we've got an article on how you can maybe move up the list, but typically if you call in, they will tell you that the list is maybe 3 or 4 or more years long. So it's important to get on the list before you really think you're going to need it. And so then when you get on the list, you just wait for your turn. Okay, the state of Massachusetts gave everyone $50 for their health electric bill. How generous. Oh. 10-year waiting list here for Section 8. Ugh, yeah. $15 years for subsidized housing. Yeah, and who knows 15 years ahead of time that you're going to need or qualify or want it. Yeah. Okay, after being a client with HELPS for a few months now, how long does it take for a creditor to get a judgment on someone? Will it be 6 months or a year? You never know. We send out cease and desist letters. So when you enroll, you give us information on any creditors or collectors that you don't want to hear from any longer. So all we need is a name of a creditor or collector, their mailing address, and an account number if you have it. If not, we can use the last 4 digits of your social security number. And then we send out a cease and desist letter to that creditor or collector. Depending, large banks and such, it can take longer. So we always say it can take between 2 and 4 weeks for these creditors or collectors to get it into their system to stop contacting you. In the interim, you don't have to answer the phone if you don't know who it is. You can just have everybody leave a message, and if it's someone you want to call back, then you'll do that. But then if they're going to sue you, you just never know. Now sometimes creditors or collectors send it to an attorney, and the attorney may send us something requesting proof of income. So that's something else we ask for you to provide to us when you enroll, would be usually a copy of your Social Security benefits letter. If you don't have that, or it's difficult to obtain, you can always give us a bank statement that shows what your Social Security direct deposit is. And then we can send that information on to the attorney, and he or she would talk to the client, and they would make a determination as to whether or not they thought it was realistic that they could ever collect on it, and they may just not sue you. But I cannot tell you how long it would be before a creditor may or may not sue you. Sometimes it's a couple years. It's hard to say. Let's see. Okay, Richard. Wells Fargo, you've got a joint checking account with your wife, and you both have Social Security directly deposited into that same account. And you've defaulted on 2 credit cards with the same bank. Will they attempt to take your checking balance even though unlawful? Maybe this is a moot question. No, I wouldn't say it's a moot question. um, they can't do anything that a credit card collector couldn't do. So that income is protected. However, if you bank with something like Truist Bank or a credit union, that would be different. But if you're with Wells Fargo, generally our clients that have an account, for instance at Wells Fargo, and they have a couple credit cards that they've defaulted on, they just don't want to deal with Wells Fargo anymore. And so what they might do is open up a checking account, a joint checking account at another bank where you have no affiliation, so you don't owe them any money. One of the national banks is usually good. And then you would call Social Security and have them start making the direct deposits into the new account. So you'd open the new account with just a very minimal amount of money, because at that point, no federal benefits have been directly deposited there. And once you can see the direct deposits of Social Security into the new bank checking account, then you can quit using Wells Fargo entirely, and it's not an issue. Because, like I say, sometimes people just don't want to have to deal with a bank or the employees where they're not making payments on a credit card or a loan or something. Yeah, it seems to be all over the board as far as the waiting time for Section 8 housing. I've seen everything now on here from 2 years to 15 years. That's crazy. Yeah, oftentimes if a person can get into a home that they're purchasing, their mortgage payment is going to be less than what the rent is for an apartment. But getting into that is another issue. Hi, Doris. Glad to have everyone here. Pennsylvania has 67 counties. One of those counties will have a short wait. I mean, you can hope. Yeah, Sunset, my mortgage costs 1/3 of what local rent is. It's saving up the money and having the income to be able to qualify for the mortgage. But if you're in something, undoubtedly it's going to be a lower payment than what your rent would be. Tiny house, yeah. Food stamps going to ban use for soda or snacks. I haven't heard that. I know that there's some things that you cannot buy with food stamps, but soda or snacks, I haven't heard that. Yeah. So, is there anything else you'd like to talk about? Or if you have other questions, we could talk about that, or we might close up a little bit early again today. How is silver doing today? Well, I haven't checked on that, so I don't know. I had a credit card with a $500 limit that I used occasionally. It had no balance due. Got a letter a few days ago that they closed the account based on a soft credit pull. Why? Wow. I don't know, but they can do that. What you might want to do is get a secured credit card, where you put money on there and then you can use it up to that limit. Pale face. Just part of a question there. Maybe you clicked send a little bit too soon. If you have more on that, could funds in A? Now I'm curious. In a pooled income trust be garnished. I'd have to refresh my memory on pooled income trusts, but depending on the terms of the trust, and maybe I could look it up, but how about I do that when we're through? Yeah, did well investing in a house. Yeah. I'm kind of afraid to do anything to my computer while we're talking, because last time you could hear a phone ringing, and I'm not the most technologically savvy here, even though we do have Derek on board today. But I'm afraid if I do any research here or change anything, I'm going to lose you. So, okay, question: how often can I move my Social Security direct deposit? I don't think there's a limit on that. They might get, if you go in every time, they might get a little tired of that, but I don't know that there's a limit on that. JBIR, just wanted to thank you. Oh, I watched for years, never expecting to use. Life as I knew it dissolved on a dime, and thanks to helps, I'm moving forward. Thank you. Wow. A nice testament there. Thank you for that. That was Eric's whole idea when he began helps about 13, 14 years ago, I think. Yeah, that was the goal, to help people that were on federally protected income and had debt they couldn't afford to pay. Typically it's seniors, not always. And he could see from his bankruptcy practice that so many seniors didn't need to file bankruptcy. They were scared to file bankruptcy, intimidated by the trustee and everything that happens, not to mention the expense. It is very expensive. So yeah, for those reasons, Eric started helps a long time ago, and we're all thankful he did. Okay, Ms. H. Can a senior that's a client of HELPS co-sign for a loan now for a family member? Will that cause the creditors to attack later? You know, I represented a lot of debtors in bankruptcy. That's my background. And I would always tell them, you know, if you can help out a family member and want to do that, go for it. But wow, don't obligate yourself on a loan for someone else, because 9 times out of 10 they default and then it's on you. So if you co-sign, it's not an issue with you being a member of HELPS, but if that family member defaults on the loan, then that particular creditor on which they defaulted can go after you as well. Now, that's not going to affect your other creditors, so that's not the issue. But it's just if this family member defaults on the loan, which so many times happens. Joe, tax time is passed. I'm 67, don't have any taxes deducted. Do I need to file as Social Security is my only income? Likely not. Likely no reason to file anymore. Oh, Easter blessings to you as well, Linda, and everyone. How's my cat? My cat is wonderful. He's 15 now. I'll tell you that I had 2 cats, and I got them I adopted them when they were about 8 weeks old. And they were not brothers, but they became brothers. And they were 2 very different cats. And unfortunately, one of them passed away 2 years ago. Very, very sad. But the other one seems to be going strong. He's 15, and he takes up a lot of my time. But he is wonderful. He tells me exactly what he wants. He yells at me every morning, and the minute I get home, he's yelling at me for something. But if I sit down with him and enjoy him, he is just a sweetheart. Oh, your kitty is 20. This kitty that I still have is very good. He's a very good cat. The other one, I just loved him, and it was so sad when he passed, but he was so naughty, just the naughtiest. And it didn't matter. I could spray him with water from a water bottle. He didn't care. And he ruined my furniture. He ripped up the couch, the chairs, you name it. He was just absolutely naughty, but we loved him. He was a tuxedo cat, and he was so smart. And anyway, it was very sad when he passed at 13, but I'm thankful I still have the one. Oh, thank you very much. Appreciate it. And it seems like we're about out of questions, so we might finish up here a little bit early. But it's been a joy, and I do wish you all a very happy Easter if that's something you celebrate. It's an exciting time, and a blessed Good Friday as well. So thank you all so much, and I know Eric will be back next week, and I think for the foreseeable future, he will be on Monday through Thursday, 10 a.m. Pacific Time, 11 a.m. Mountain Time, 12 noon Central Time, and 1 p.m. Eastern Time. So I know he'll be excited to see you again. And you have a great weekend. Bye-bye.